You're listening to 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective Podcast. A new era of East Carolina football is here and will begin on August 31st when Mike Houston leads the Pirates into action at NC State. Between now and then, join us for a daily trip down memory lane as we experience Pirate football through the words of the men who made those memorable moments happen. Here's your host, Bubba Rosenbaum.
Well, we continue our great series thanks to Bubba Rosenbaum, who this is his project, his baby, if you will. And I'll tell you what, 50 Pirates in 50 days. And Bubba, what a great guy from the Big Apple. Cannot believe it. We're going to talk some Pirates right now.
Yeah, very excited to catch up with Lamont Burns, who played for the Pirates from 1992 to 1996. Lamont, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime we can talk to a guy from my era, that's when I was there in college. I'm all for it. I graduated in 95, so you're one of – I love it. The era was a great era, and certainly with Liberty Bowl Alliance before Conference USA, that's right up my alley.
Yes, sir, the golden years. That was the golden years of Pirate football.
Well, we know you were – exactly, Greensboro Page and the Pirates there, and you go from the Pirates to Greensboro Page to the Pirates was it Coach Logan? Why pick East Carolina?
I tell you, it's a funny story. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me again. But to East Carolina, I was a late bloomer and late recruit. But Bill Steele, who's back at East Carolina now, he sat in my living room in front of my mother and father, and he told them that if he comes to East Carolina, not only we'll take care of him, but he's going to get a college degree. He didn't lie. And that stuck with them. And even though Carolina and State, a few schools came on late, my mind was made up. Even before they won the Peach Bowl, I was already had decided I was going to East Carolina.
Right, and that's one of the things. I knew Dave mentioned Coach Logan, but just the timeline there with you being part of that 92 class, Coach Logan got the job after Bill Lewis left for Georgia Tech. Uh-huh. So I knew your recruitment had to have begun under Coach Lewis's staff.
Yeah. But actually, it was Coach Lewis and Coach Steele who came to my house. But it was Coach Steele who said those words. And I'm so happy to see him back at East Carolina. It's amazing that he's back within the family.
Now, what was Coach Lewis like on the recruiting trail? He seems like someone that would have been very point blank.
He was more serious. He was very serious. And I don't think my father took to him well because he was so serious. And,
right.
You know, and Coach Steele was more of the, you know, breaking breaking the ice, so to speak. He made it more of a real personal visit. It was more than just football. It was about the education. It was about the graduating. It was about the family. It was about we're going to be here. And that sold me.
And how quickly, one question I was going to ask you is how quickly in the process, I know there's some guys that I didn't have the talent, obviously, to play that level or any level, but I would think that some people enjoy the process of recruiting, some people don't. I think I would probably lean to not enjoying the process. Did you commit very early, or how long did that process take of recruiting?
I committed early. I didn't enjoy it because I wanted to play basketball. So I was I was hoping that the basketball guys would give me 3 more inches and a better jump shot. Didn't want to happen. So I was lightly recruited as a basketball player, and I mean lightly, maybe one school. And the football, like there was a few. Wake Forest was heavy. East Carolina, of course. A couple of Wofford, smaller schools, but the process for me, it was nerve-wracking because you just want to stay in high school your whole life. High school is your friends, people you grew up with the grade school. Now, wherever you go and play, or whatever you do, this is a major part of your life.
Right.
So it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the recruit visits, especially, but it was good. And I know where I wanted to go. Like I said, after they came to my house, I was done. I was sold.
And then that's great that you can tell by that's what drives me crazy. I'm glad that you were a man of your word. You stayed there. You obviously built. To me, I think the after from the 90s, I think is what really put. And I say this all the time, maybe because I'm biased, and that's when I was a student. There were a lot of great wins, and there was tough times too. But I feel like that was when we were really on the. You guys were part of that era that put East Carolina on the map as far as the national scene. I always say that, and I stick by that.
I appreciate it, and I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. It was. We never forget it. I could tell stories. I could talk about this all day and all night, from the people to the places. You don't forget anything. You get older, and some of the stories get a little longer. but you don't forget anything, man. There's just so many great people that I played with, and teachers and coaches. But the brotherhood along that old line, man, we never forget it.
I want to ask you, as far as East Carolina is concerned, one thing that I always tell people that they asked me why I chose East Carolina. I had friends there, and truth be told, I transferred to East Carolina because I was already a Pirate, and the tuition was way inexpensive compared to where I was. But one of the things that always impressed me is no matter how big East Carolina was, when you were walking by students you didn't even know, people were very friendly to you. I can always remember that. No matter, you could go to different stores on campus or the bookstore, different things. You could go to different classrooms. I never had I can't remember a single encounter with a fellow student my age or anyone on campus that people were not friendly. And maybe that's just my interpretation or my memory is bad and it was worse that, but I really don't remember anything. I don't know how you felt, but I guess you guys with football and football was winning, you guys were like the big man on campus, literally and figuratively.
No, but it's true. It was. I look at the Greek. I'm also a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and most schools, the other Greeks, they speak, but it's like fake because they don't get along. I was friends with other Greeks. I was friends with. I tell people, I was in class with people who I think didn't like me but they were still friendly. They didn't like. Not me personally. They like the football team, but they was nice. There was people who didn't like. Whatever, but everybody was smiling and nice, from riding the bus, the purple bus to take us around on campus, to just sitting there, eating a piece of pizza in the student store. People were just nice, even the people who worked there. It's just family, man. East Carolina is really a family-oriented school. It is.
They took a chance on me, and that's why I always tell everybody that I'm a big cheerleader, because I have the college degree, and there are a lot of people that probably wouldn't have taken a chance on me, and they did, and it worked out where the school that was the one that I pulled for, it was really cool to be able to get in, graduate, and now afterwards here we are 20-some years later, and we're doing a podcast about East Carolina, so It all worked out.
It's amazing.
So, Lamont, we talked about your recruitment. For younger Pirate fans, or maybe even some of the older fans who didn't recall the early part of your career, you actually arrived on campus as a defensive end, correct?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
So talk a little bit about that, coming in as a defensive end, and then if you recall on what your weight was at the time and how the transition to offensive line occurred.
Yeah, when I came to school, I was about 213 pounds, 6'4". Gangly, what they call me. But I was even then, I was a man without a true position. I played defensive end, but college football at 213 pounds, man, it's kind of hard to get around those big offensive tackles for Syracuse and the schools that we were playing. Coach Connors, Coach Connors, I don't think he's there anymore, but he was a big part of helping to put weight on me, and just from the lifting and the training, the run that we did, it was natural weight gain. I moved. I actually started redshirt freshman year. I redshirted my freshman year because, like I said, I was small. I started a few games at defensive end as a redshirt freshman. I remember playing against the University of Washington, and going out there. That was a big game for East Carolina. To fly way out there and play University of Washington. I actually started that game as a redshirt sophomore. But I wasn't a defensive player. Division I was a little slow. I'll be honest now. and I was little, and I'm not knocking defensive guys, but I was very cerebral. Defense is run and hit. Offense is run and hit too, but we know where you're going. And I actually Cliff Yoshida, who was a defensive line coach when I made the switch, he told me in his office, he said, if you switch from D-line to O-line with your athletic ability and your nasty demeanor, you will play professional football. I cried. But I played defense my whole life. I thought offense was soft. And I shed tears in his office. But what was I going to do, go home? So when Coach Yoshida said that was the change, I made the change. And Coach Jags and Terry Tillman put me under their wing, and the rest is history.
Coach Jags, obviously, he had a heck of a career in coaching. He went on to become the head coach at Boston College and brought Steve Logan on his staff as offensive coordinator several years down the road. But talk a little bit about Coach Jags.
Coach Jags was an excellent coach. But I can't say Coach Jags without saying Terry Tillman. Because those guys together, they really created the whole dirt bag, the whole physical play, the whole do anything you can to protect your quarterback and to get your running back 100 yards every game. But it was them together. Coach Jags was great, with the X's and O's and the drills that we did. It helped us on game day. We didn't just do things, just to do it. Everything we did, the drills were meticulous and they meant for something. But it was Terry Tillman, Coach Tillman, after he had left, he had stopped playing, who was in our ears every day teaching us how to be dirtbags.
No doubt about it. We caught up with Coach Tillman here in the last week or so. He was an excellent interview, and he had some excellent stories about his time as a player and as a coach with East Carolina.
He's a bad man, I'm telling you. Wow, that man looks.
He was, and you'll recall this because this is when Coach Tillman was still playing, and when Marcus, your redshirt freshman year, Marcus Crandall went down against UCF with the broken leg, and so he told that story and about how number 58 or whoever it was from UCF that he had a few words and a little message for that guy.
Just a few choice words.
Yeah, that was. I remember that game. Oh my God, that game was that's one of those games that you never expected to happen. I mean, injuries and all that, but it was. I was in the student section when that happened, and I never thought that would be. I never thought that would happen, but anyway.
That image would never leave my head.
One of the things
next year.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead.
I said that image never left my head. I get chills thinking about. And they came to the Ficklen the next year, and we played them. And it was that before that game. Can I tell the story? I don't want to.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Man, that whole week, Coach Logan was very emotional. I'm going into the locker room there, and he just wasn't himself. He was very angry. He was ornery. He practiced hard. It was like he didn't want anybody to forget. But Friday night before the game, we sat down, and we always watch film. And we watch a movie, and then we watch film and talk about it. But I'll never forget, he put on the film, and he showed Marcus he showed the hit in slow motion. Slow Marcus' leg get broke. He cut the film, and I remember him taking the projector and slamming it at the hotel, and just walking out. Oh. So the next morning, I mean, I'm done. I'm half crazy anyway. If you watch, you know how we get to the stadium and we get ready for the game. I'm crying. I'm done. To me, it wasn't about football anymore. I wanted to kill everybody, this, that, and the other, on the field, not literally. But I remember how emotional I was, and we all were. And when they put on a film of that game again before it went out, but they had James Brown, the big payback plans. Yeah. Man, we ran out of that locker room, man. I don't know the score, but it was a slap. It was a knockdown, drag-out football game from the stretch line to the end of the game. And to this day, I can't stand Central Florida.
Yeah, I agree with you there because I remember thinking that season was going to be like where we'd be going to a bowl, and there's so much talent on that team, and then all of a sudden you go from that very moment of where it's like your whole season is shot, or shattered. I know it sounds bad, but it's just like shattered, like your shattered dreams, because it's like 2-9 for that season.
Terrible.
And you guys were way better. You guys were way better on that team than the 2-9 record shows in the record book, in my opinion.
We had everybody. We had that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good players.
Yeah, it wasn't like. In other words, it wasn't like for Pirate fans that are younger and may not know, or people that have forgotten. It wasn't like you guys had very little talent. You guys had a lot of talent, and that's what showed up in 94, 95, 96. I mean, all those. I mean, man, it was. My gosh, they find me 3 good years like that. I know we can, but I know I'm biased, but that's when I graduated and all that time. And then right after graduation, covering the Pirates for the first time. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And I don't want to live in the past, but those were some glory years for me. I know you said the golden years, but you can't go wrong in the middle 90s talking about the Pirates.
No, you can't. It kind of hurt. It hurts now. How the program has been through so much, but it's still Pirates. We know it's still family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping a new coach. I have a timeshare right outside of James Madison, so I kind of follow them. And the new coach, he's a real deal.
Yes,
a real deal. And I'm telling you now, when it comes to football, this guy I've been following him since he's been there. And Coach Blackwell, it was some guys there. The defense was pretty good, better last year. This new coach, he's a real deal.
Yeah, I really hated that for Coach Blackwell. Just wasn't the right timing. I mean, he came in like you said, and we were so much better on the defensive side of the ball, especially the first probably half to 2/3 of the season, and then things went south down the stretch due to some various factors. But there's no doubt we would have continued to see significant improvement on that side of the ball had Coach Blackwell remained, and I really hope that he can come back to Greenville down the road.
Right. Hey. He had 1 year. The 1 year I thought he was going to get the spot, but the new coach is Pirate approved. He's approved. He's good.
Yeah, but, that was when we mentioned that. I also mentioned Lamont is being a former player. It seemed like to me, in my opinion, observing the team, we've been close to the program for a long time. All three, me, Bubba, and Kyle. But it seemed like to me that if Coach Mo had picked, I'll say this and I'll go to my grave saying this, if Coach Mo had picked the coaches he had the third year, they might have had a shot to get to a bowl by that point, or at least the second year, because the coaches were way better, I felt like. But sometimes you got to realize you can't pick your friends. You have to pick the people that know how to keep you winning games and keep you having a job. But that's my opinion.
I've been coaching high school football up here, which is totally different, for 18 years now, and it's been highs and lows. But you might not get along with certain guys, but if they can bring success to your program, and you can deal with them as far as on a professional level, and you have a chance to bring a guy in, you got to bring him in. It's all about it's wins, man. It's just win, baby, or go home. It really is.
Yeah, wins and it's about that very thing, wins and losses, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like we always talk about, the most important stat, as I told my players when I was coaching middle school and high school, I told them the very fact. I asked them what the most important stat was, and they would tell me it was basketball season. They would tell me it's rebounds, it's this, that, and the other, it's point. Or I said all it comes down to is wins. The most important stat is to win the game. It doesn't matter if you score 50 points or 2 points. I even asked them one time if you could score 50 points and lose the game, or score 2 points and win the game, and they had to think about it.
No, basketball season. We got to win, man. I don't want 50 to lose.
Exactly.
I hate to lose. But Lamont, I know the offensive line, one of the things that you guys had to take such great pride in during those years, in 93 and 94, you had a 1,000-yard rusher in Junior Smith. In 95, you nearly had a 1,000-yard rusher, Jarris McPhail. fell just a little shy, but had an excellent year. And then in '96, of course, Scott Harley did what he did, and then I know we talked a little bit about that earlier off the air, but we'll talk about some of those performances. Your senior season that Scott Harley had, just remarkable. South Carolina, where he ran for 291 in the mud, and then 351 in what unfortunately ended up being our final game due to the lack of bowls and our lack of a conference tie-in at the time.
Man, that was a fun time. I tell you, Scott, out of all those running backs, Scott Harley, I think, was the most overall talented. Jez is actually the most pro-ready running back out of the group, with his speed and cutting ability, and he played the pros, and he'd had the less yards. Junior was the best pure back, but Scott Harley, man, he's the best. I played a long time, and I still consider him one of the best backs I've ever blocked for. And I blocked for Curtis Martin. I blocked for a lot. That kid's vision, he's a grown man. His vision in some of those games, man, and the way he just ran, just give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And we kept blocking. We just wanted to block for him, but he was just that kind of. He was like one of us.
He's still a big guy, and that's one thing I liked about him. He's old school, where some of the guys, to me, I like him because it's more like, you can give the ball to Scott Harley. Everybody knows in the stadium you can give the ball to Scott Harley, and he still smashes your mouth.
He don't get 6. It don't matter what, 6 yards. So he made us look good. We kicked some high. You know, that line. We kicked some behind, but it took a special running back also. And I always give him credit.
And talking about Harley getting 6, I remember that '96 season against Ohio U, he did get 6. He reached the end zone 6 times.
6 times. We played like crap that game. Yeah, we played terrible that game. Yeah, as a team, they almost beat us. We should have beat them by 100 points.
Yeah, I remember that game very well with Mike Hamrick, and just the fact that, you know, that season, when you think about there was the West Virginia game at the beginning of the season. Coach went for it. I know it was disappointing. That was one that I wish we had that game. We had that game. Yeah. I thought we were gonna
play the win, though. We play the win. That's it. Coach Logan, we got down there. We play the win, baby. Overtime. We're going for it.
We know what if you in that fact, if you made that and you make that 2-point conversion, then he looks like the greatest. He is a great coach. I don't care very much, but he is a great coach. But you know, that was brilliant, and it didn't work. Okay, it didn't work. You know, but when you have West Virginia, we struggle there. I don't think we've ever beaten them there, unfortunately. And when you have a chance to beat them right there for getting 2 yards, you got to go for it.
You got to. That's part of football. Same thing with Syracuse. Same thing with Auburn. We played Kentucky at the time. You line us up, we're going for the win. We're going to try to hit you. Miami, down in Miami, when we beat the hell out of them. Oh, my God. We're trying to win, period.
There's only one thing, right?
That's it. It goes that we were just like pirates when you think about it. We come to raid your ship, invade, hide the women and children because nobody respected us.
Now, Lamont.
With the house burning down, they didn't respect us.
Lamont, did you have a favorite game or two that some memories that really come to mind?
That NC State game really stands out. That last game, it was so emotional, and that was it. What a way to end your career. It was just amazing to go to state. They were down that year, but it was still NC State, and it was Charlotte, and it was, you know, it was for bragging rights and respect. And we showed pirate pride that day.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that game where the very fact of, for people that don't know, that there was a gap obviously from after the quote unquote riot in Raleigh in '87. That's why we had the Peach. You know, we had the Peach Bowl and a great comeback win. And after that, that was the first game back for NC State and ECU, and it's in Charlotte. It's not in Raleigh, and we'd have to wait 3 more years before the first time that East Carolina had hosted NC State at Dowdy-Ficklin in '99, and we beat them then. But that was a special game because those of us that were the freshmen, I guess, the first year, and then we had to wait a long time. It was after a couple years after I graduated, a year after I graduated,
to get our hands on them.
Yeah, and I will tell you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that I always talk about you guys with the '96 season, the 8-3 team. There's no reason in the world. I know Bubba was talking about the conference tie-ins, but I still don't understand. As great as you guys were, you have a close loss, West Virginia, but I guess you'd have to have 9 or 10 wins. But it's just frustrating to think about a team as great as you guys, and then there's teams now, a 6-6 team can get in the bowl, and you have an 8-3 team that had that close loss there. It was easily 9, but I know that you guys, I guess that was kind of like everybody always says, NC State fans and Carolina fans, that's our bowl game. So I guess that was your bowl game in Charlotte.
We took it. We practiced like it was a bowl game. We beat them like it was a bowl game. But that year, that loss to Southern Mississippi on that
oh, my God.
We shouldn't have lost that ball game. But it was like Coach Logan said, we had a deer in the headlight look all week. And he had a bad feeling. He kept saying, get it together. We was like, we're going to beat Southern, man. We was looking at Miami because we played Miami the next week. Yeah. We were talking about we're going to beat Miami. We're going to upset Miami. We forgot about old Southern Miss. They came in there and they beat us at home. That was the one right there. That was the one.
That was the win. In fact, they were up. Was it 28-0 at halftime? I mean, it was like
they jumped on it, and it was on ESPN. It was on ESPN also. Yeah, they jumped on it. That I think that hurt because I don't know. But I tell you, speaking of, I want to get one more game in. The Liberty Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
The Liberty Bowl when we beat Stanford. Stanford Cardinals had zero respect for Eastern Carolina.
Oh.
They coaches who was from Eastern North Carolina, their head coach, Tyrone Willingham, never forget him. But from him to their damn trainer, to the team, to everybody, their fans, they treated us like second class citizens that whole week.
Oh my God.
They acted like that we didn't belong there. They acted like they were too good to be at the Liberty Bowl. And why are we playing this sorry bunch of country boys? That stupid tree had spam written across his chest at every event. Like we was a bunch of country spam. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I knew
oh my God.
We knew what it meant. They treated us so bad. It felt so good to hoist that trophy in their face when we beat them. Oh, it felt so good.
Lamont, it's funny. I remember, you may not have seen this because obviously you'd have been in the locker room, but they may have done similar stuff at bowl events. But that band that Stanford has, they have kind of that weird vibe and that crazy crap that they do with the uniforms with buttons all over them, and their halftime show was paying honor and respect to the 51st state, the lost 51st state of East Carolina, who we can thank for tobacco that kills so many people every year.
Oh, see what I mean? They were obnoxious. I wish you could suit up and play those guys again now. I'm ready now. You should have never told me that. I'm ready.
And that's the funny thing. That kind of surprises me with Tyrone Willingham being from Jacksonville.
He didn't want to talk to anyone. He didn't want to talk about. They asked him to talk about how does it feel playing a school of East you're from. He waved the question off. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my God.
Go back.
I don't remember that. Wow.
Nothing. He didn't talk about anything about being from there. I want to focus on the game. And
what's funny is you remember Bubba. I don't know if you guys remember. He was actually after John Thompson got fired. He was a name that was mentioned. I don't know how true it was that he would be the candidate for the head coaching job. Of course, Skip got the job, Skip Colts, but he was one of the names that I heard numerous times during that whole process after John Thompson was fired.
If you left Notre Dame, this year just got fired by Notre Dame. Nobody wanted him. He was an arrogant dude. I don't want to talk bad about him because I don't know him like that, but he was just very, very arrogant in demeanor.
Well, I'm glad that he didn't come to East Carolina then.
No, he don't fit in. That's not East Carolina. You don't fit in East Carolina.
So, Lamont, here a few minutes ago, you talked about how there early on in your career, prior to the position change, you were having that conversation with Cliff Yoshida, who's your defensive line coach, and he made the comment that if you make the switch that you would be in the NFL. Well, in the spring of '97, you received that opportunity. I believe you were drafted in the 5th round by the New York Jets. And was Coach Parcells the head coach there at that time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, and if you can, tell us a little bit about the big tuna behind the scenes.
Man, Coach Parcells, I love him to this day, man. I emulate a lot of the things I learned coaching. Not everything. I take stuff from all the coaches, but a lot of my demeanor when I coach is from him, because he's not only a great coach, he's funny. He knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off. But he has the utmost respect of everybody. Everybody. I didn't endear myself to him early. I was I'd say about the 3rd day of training camp, I was running number 2 O-line. I was the only lineman they drafted that year. So I was running 3s at that time. But it was just weird because at training camp, there's a million people sitting in the stand. The Jets have a diehard fan base. Mm-hmm. There had to be 4,000 or 5,000 people, hot as hell, sitting there at Hofstra University watching practice. I'm a country boy from North Carolina. I'm looking over there like, these people, they don't work. Nobody has a job. What the hell? So I just happened to be glancing over there and looking at the crowd, and I feel somebody back up and they stand beside me, and it was Coach Parcells. He said 63. He didn't say Burns. He said 63. I said, yes, sir, Coach. He said, what was the last play called? I said, I don't know, Coach. He grabbed my face mask and cursed me out. My father never cursed me out this bad. He cursed me out in front of all those people, took my face mask, walked me over there, took close so the crowd could hear it and see it. He had a bus ticket to send me back to North Carolina. He don't need people like me around. I didn't know, should I cry? Should I fight it? I didn't know what to do. But the fans cheered him like he just made a speech. They gave him they cheered him. And, what the hell is going on here?
Wow.
So that was my first really understanding how Coach Parcells is. He was like that with everybody, from Jumbo to Curtis to Bill Belichick. Wow. I can tell you a story about those for the locker room.
Speaking of that, as far as Coach Belichick, I was just going to, because I knew he was there during that time. That's something I was going to bring up soon.
Oh yeah, Bill.
How intense is he?
Him and Eric Mangini, Eric Mangini was his assistant. That staff has so many superstars on it. It's weird. It was just crazy. But him and Eric Mangini did everything together. I thought that was his son. I didn't know that Eric Mangini was also coming to make his way through the coaching ranks. We used to pick on Eric. We were the scout team offense when I wasn't starting or playing. So we would, Mangini looks like a 3-year-old. He's like a teenager. So he'd come over there and he'd say, Coach Belichick, these plays ran perfect. And we rough his hair, you know what I'm saying? We take his glasses off and we don't blow, we screw. This is Eric Mangini. We're screwing with him. And who would have known he would have become, kind of what he became. But him and Belichick, they were always together. They never talked in loud tones. They ate together. They was on a treadmill together. They came in together. They had a wonderful dynamic. You could tell who was close and who wasn't. I knew Belichick and Parcells had differences. You could see that it was a great. I love the Jets. I still to this day. It was a great time, but we knew who was the head of the ship. But the genius Belichick was a genius then because man, just when you go against his scout, when you go against his defense in practice, you see how he puts people in position to make plays. It's not about a superstar. It's you do your job. He preached that in 92, 96, 97. And he still preaches to this day. Do your job. That's all. He never yelled, just do your job. I don't need superstars. If I bring you in here to be a free technique to clog the two-gap, clog the damn two-gap for 64 plays, and let's get a Super Bowl. That's it. That's all he wants. Just do your job. It's simple.
Certainly, no doubt, a future Hall of Famer there. I tell you guys, I love that, speaking of Parcells and Belichick, that 30 for 30 on ESPN was one of my all-time favorites because of the fact of what you're talking about. I think they even said that. I think there have been a number of years where they really haven't been. I don't know if they hadn't talked on the phone, but I know they hadn't been I don't even know if they've been in the same room. But that was a really good 30 for 30. If people haven't seen that, it's that will help with Lamont. If you don't know what he's talking about, that will help you understand the tension they had between the two Bills.
Oh, for years. I played in the first Bill Bowl. Well, no, that was between when Parcells came from New England from the New England to the Jets. I played that first game, and it was similar when he had a problem with the New England had just left the Super Bowl, and he came to the Jets. It's different stories.
Yeah, that program that Dave was referencing, I watched it as well. It was tremendous.
It gets into it, and people that played, there's so many stories. There's so many stories. Just those two. Just I was just with them for a year, maybe like a year and a half. But just the stories from each one of them. Just talking to each one of them one on one, and seeing how they are. Matter of fact, Dallas Parcells is an East Carolina grad. Bill Parcells' daughter went to East Carolina.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, not many people know that he had a daughter in East Carolina. He's been on campus. No one knows that he's been on campus. He had a daughter there.
Wow.
Graduated from East Carolina, yeah.
That's a we'll have to. Bubba, can you get her on?
Yeah,
there we go.
That's it. That's her.
Small world.
No doubt. Maybe you can get Bill Parcells on. But certainly, Lamont, I have to ask you a question because I'm just going to out myself for people that don't know. If you don't know, I'm a big Washington Redskins fan, so I know you played there, and also that other team in Philadelphia who are there. I'm just kidding, the Eagles. But can you talk about your time there with the Eagles and Redskins and NFC East?
It was funny because I went to the Eagles first. Ray Rhodes was the head coach, and I was there. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the greatest time. I was coming off I had some injuries, mentally and physically when I left the Jets. They didn't want to cut me, but they had put me on the physically unable to perform list, and I had to go take care of some things. When I came back, my agent had pushed some buttons the wrong way with the Jets, kind of demanding some things, and you don't do that with the Parcells. As much as he cared about me, we ended up being, we're colleagues, we're friends. And he respected me, but he didn't respect my agent at the time. And he explained to me when he had to let me go, and it hurt him. It hurt him because I was his guy. He said that. I'm your guy. But I ended up leaving there and going to the Eagles with Ray Rhodes. It was totally different. Ray was a good coach in a bad situation. Philadelphia was it was a good city but it wasn't New York. And when the Redskins called for me, I was happy to leave. Until I met Daniel Snyder. Then I wish I could have went back. I could have went back to Ray Rhodes, but Philly was good. Coach Snyder had just brought the team. Mr. Snyder had just brought the team.
Right.
North Turner was the head coach. There was promises made. I was given every opportunity to compete for a job there. I did well when I went to Washington. I felt good at Washington. I went in with a couple of guys and purchased a nice townhouse in Ashland, Virginia. We was locking in. I was thinking this is going to be it. Daniel Snyder came in and said, I don't want young guys. I want veterans.
Yeah, I remember that.
Pretty much told Norm, you got to change everything, what you're doing. We don't develop players for the Redskins. So if you go back to that team, that was guys that started. Even though I had started in the NFL, there were veteran backup linemen on both sides of the ball. They were paying so much money to guys, and he didn't want to practice. He just wanted veterans. He wanted Bruce Smith. And it changed everything. It made it uncomfortable.
I remember.
I'll tell you a quick story about him.
Right.
We had just got through our 2-a-day practice, and one of the guys came around to Coach Turner. We're walking in after practice with our pants. Somebody whispered something to Coach Turner. He told us to stop, come back out, because Mr. Snyder and some friends was coming, and he wanted to see some football. We just got through 2 days, so the helicopter comes up, and we was at the college where I forgot the college where the Redskins trained up in Virginia. Up in Frostburg, Maryland, Frostburg University in Maryland. Helicopter comes over. We got to put our pants on it, and we got to practice. It was like gladiators. We just did 2 days. We're going in. He comes over. We had to go out there and do a 20 to 25 play live scrimmage. And he gets in the helicopter and leaves. Like I never, to this day, I don't understand that. Somebody could have got hurt. Anything could have happened. He just wanted to show, this is my team. Here we go. We do what I want to do. Then he left.
Wow. That says a lot. But I always joke, Lamont, that it's a shame that you can't trade owners. But
oh, man, he's rough. He's better now, I hear. I got some guys that they said he started to learn that, football is not like, you come to the corporate office when you come to a plant, everybody gets, they start doing everything perfectly. Football's not like that. We're human beings, man.
I remember Albert Hainsworth. I think he's looking for a liver transplant or something I read recently, but kidney. That's right,
yeah.
kidney. But he was one of those guys that was at Tennessee, and they went after him, and Deion Sanders, they went after him, and
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce Smith. During that time, it was so many. I hadn't thought about that. You brought back memories. I hadn't thought about that in a long time, but certainly people were talking about how much money the Redskins were paying for guys that, I hate to use the term, but they were really old, and they were on their last. I hate to say the term last leg. It's terrible to say that, but as far as football playing career, they were literally down to their last maybe gas tank. Maybe they had 1 or 2 more seasons left, and you're paying a whole bunch of money to guys that that you shouldn't be paying that much money for.
No, guys, but in the NFL, it's a business. Guys just want to. After a while, you just want a check. You want to go somewhere you get a check. Will somebody pay me? You gonna give me how much? I'll be there. $100 million. Yeah, Albert Hainsworth's gonna show up, and he's gonna show up out of shape because he already got 50-something million guaranteed.
So Lamont, after that experience with the Redskins, that's what I believe that was in '98, correct?
Yeah, 98, 99. 90, I think that was 99 when I finally left there.
Okay, so that next year or two before the XFL popped up and you had the opportunity with the Las Vegas Outlaws, just talk about that time period.
With the in-between time?
Yeah, yes, sir. The in between, and then obviously here in 2020, that's what the XFL is making a comeback, and hopefully more successful this time. But talk about that experience with the XFL.
Yeah, well, the in between was strange. I had my son who'll be 20 August 4th during training camp with the Redskins. I was, married. A lot of I was getting married. There was a lot going on, but I remember when I left the Redskins, I remember crying and driving back to New York saying, it's over. I don't want to play no more. I didn't like the business. The Redskin experience made me not like football because it was business. I knew I was better than 2 of those backup linemen, and with practice, just as good as a couple of the starters. Big Trey was on his last leg. He could barely get through a practice. But I said, it's a business, and I didn't want to play no more. That was on the team. I'm not out. There were other teams I could have went to, but I just said, I'm done. I told my agent I need to go home and get myself together after that the business. And went home. It was hard because all you've done for so long is play football. And then it's not there. You got this kid and bills and, and I had a pretty good amount of money put away. But if you don't have any income, it's all outcome. And you start getting nervous. But I kept training. And I remember when the XFL came, I said, I'm going to play. I wanted to play for the New York team. But for somehow I ended up being in Vegas. I'm not complaining. I'm definitely not complaining. And it was the football was good. I had Kurt Govea, 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Oh, wow.
Team. I had David Diaz and Fente on my team, also another Super Bowl champion. We had some good players. We was in Las Vegas. And it caught up. It took a toll. I'm not going to go too far because it's a family program. I'm telling you, we were the best team in XFL for 4 weeks until everybody got settled in and everybody started getting those checks.
Oh, yeah.
And started realizing that we lived in Vegas.
Kansas City.
It was over. There was guys that didn't sleep for 2 weeks and would have played the game.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe I'm to this day, I don't know how somebody didn't just dehydrate around the field. There was so much alcohol and not with me and drugs and whip. It was like a show. I don't know how the Raiders are going to go to Las Vegas because it's too much.
Yeah, they made a movie. It's called The Hangover.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was like after the third week, it was a hangover 1, 2, and 3. I even got sucked in. I said to him, I couldn't take it no more. I was one of the guys. I took it seriously because I wanted to go back, and I ended up going back to the Raiders. I played well in the XFL. I wanted to go back and play the NFL again. But a lot of those guys were like, "This is it for me." It was gambling. It was gambling. I mean, and I'm not talking about just on the weekend. I'm talking about
every day,
every night. I don't know how these guys made the practice.
Wow.
The last 2 weeks we did not practice on the field because it was too much. We couldn't do it.
Oh my God.
It was that bad. We couldn't practice.
I wanted to ask you as far as the league itself. I remember that I was living in Nags Head at the time, working in radio, and I remember my roommates were just like, "What do you think?" And I said, I'm really hoping this league will be good. I remember you were in the same age group. We've talked about it numerous times on this podcast, Lamont, with the unfortunate debacle of the AAF. But I was talking about how much I love the USFL as a kid. And if they hadn't gone compete against NFL, then the USFL may have had a chance to still be in a league. Who knows? But I want to get your take because when I saw that first game on that Saturday night and it did a great rating on NBC, I said, wow, this is way better. I didn't have a lot of expectations. I was just enjoying the fact there was more football. And that first week, as another 30 for 30, the first ratings, man, they come out like gangbusters. And with the fast forward, what do you think went wrong? You were part of the XFL. I know you were in Las Vegas, but as far as the league is concerned, what went wrong? Was it too WWE trying to be football, or what do you think went wrong?
Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He told, I mean, if you watch the special, you'll see. I'm on there a couple of times when you look close enough. But he told Dick Ebersol that he was going to keep it as much football as possible. He couldn't do it. He started. It started being the cheerleaders. So now you want to show these scantily clad cheerleaders more than you're showing the football. So that's going to take away your Bible Belt people. That's going to take away the wives who don't want their husband watching this mess on. You know what I'm saying? You start losing people that want to enjoy football. And then there's storylines. We're going to go in the locker room and show the girl. It became wrestling. And NBC didn't want that. And that's when the ratings started to go down. Just show football, man. There was a lot of decent players in that league. Just show football. Vince McMahon he's been in more than one occasion. The first time was out there, and he's not like the TV show and all that, but he's a showman. Football and showman don't work when it comes to business. That don't work. You build the product first on the field, then you bring the showmanship afterwards. You can't have the show before the football, and that's what killed it that one year. They didn't want it back.
In fact, a lot of people say, Lamont, that through all this history of McMahon and WWF and now WWE, he's had a ton of success. The one thing that's really eating away with him is the failure of the XFL. Coming in 2020, it seems like what I'm hearing, I don't know if this is true, but all the experts are saying that he's going to let the football people run the XFL, and he's going to obviously see what's going on. Knowing that he's more of a micromanager, do you think he can allow football people to run the XFL? He's got way more money than the folks in the AAF, I think. But
he could fund it. He could fund himself. As long as the WWE is profitable and still he can focus on that, I think it'll be fine. But if his ego gets involved, if he wants to make it about the show again, it'll go away. People like football. The NFL started to see that. People, we want football. That's why fantasy football is great, because it's not. There's no showmanship and fanfare and hoopla. It's still football. It's still on the field. That's the product. If he can keep that, I think it should be successful, because there's enough good players around that you could get good quality football. That's what I think.
What about so you think the XFL, they have a chance, and we'll see how that goes February of next year of 2020. Are you going to come out of retirement and play in the XFL?
I thought about it, but as I iced this knee, for whatever reason, I got a swollen knee for the last, I think I'm done. No, I can't play no football. I thought about trying to coach up there, but I'm trying to, my son he should prayerfully be graduating from Iona. And my lovely daughter's down in Nashville. She's having another grandbaby, so I think it may be time. I've been coaching high school ball for 18 years. I'm thinking about stepping down from that for a couple of years too, and just enjoying life. I haven't been back to a game because I coach. A lot of times I'm up here coaching or doing something. I hadn't been to a game in a while down at the street.
Well, we got to have you come down and certainly hang out. That will be a lot of fun. Again, about an era. I want to ask you, as far as for folks that are listening right now in Pirate Nation, one of the things why we started the podcast is because guys like you who built the program, we want to celebrate you. We had guys tell us last year, Lamont, that they said they were flattered that we asked them to come on, but they said nobody's want to hear me. I'm a has-been. I played this many years ago, whatever. And we're like, you guys are the ones, the reason why the Pirates are the Pirates, and the reason why the last 3 seasons are not Pirate football. And we want to make it very clear that the distinctions of what Pirate football is and what it's not. And now the podcast has been around for about a year and a half, but that's why we're doing this podcast. And you guys are stars still in my eyes. I know Bubba and Kyle, and you guys are bright. And definitely would love to have you back. I know you're up in Long Island, right?
Yeah, Long Island, Westbury, Long Island. That's where I call my home now.
Can you tell us about that? And I know you're a Greensboro, North Carolina kid. You're up there in New York. Can you, first of all, before we tell about what you do, can you talk about, is it culture shock for you?
It still is, especially the traffic and the people. I'm still one of those crazy people that still speak to everybody. Hey, how you doing? And I still get dirty looks. It's not like home, because there's not a lot of. And I've been here in New York over 20 years now.
Wow.
And I still haven't. I'm not 100% comfortable here. I mean, I got married. I got divorced. My first instinct was to go home, but I didn't want to leave my son. I had a daughter who was growing up without me. Now, but I didn't want to have I didn't want to lose two relationships. I wanted to be a good father, best I can to really both of my kids. But I stayed here mainly for him, and it hasn't been all peaches and cream. Because if anybody who's been through a divorce or a separation, it's difficult and it's financially draining and it's tough. But like I said, my son he's close to graduating college. Wow. He's almost on his own now, and I want to come on back home. New York's a different place, man. I've had some good times up here, but New York is fun when you have money. when you don't have a lot of money, you work. You work a lot just to make ends meet because everything is expensive.
Yeah, and
everything.
I remember that very well. Walking by Midtown Manhattan, and it's funny because people in North Carolina have no idea about how expensive parking is to park your car there.
Forget about it. Parking. How about these fucking $500 worth of parking tickets if you don't park the right place?
Yeah.
Get your car towed. I done had all of it. And the thing that I love North Carolina and South Carolina and Virginia, because people are friendly. People may disagree. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with politics and all this stuff now, but people will agree. People will still be cordial, speak to you.
Yeah.
Like we said about campus. But up here, man, most people seem so stressed, including myself, because that's the environment. Become a product of your environment.
Right.
This is a level of stress here. Homeless people are stressed. You know what I'm saying? rich people are stressed. Poor people are stressed.
Right.
It's just stress and it's pressure and it's don't touch me and don't look at my car and don't look at this and don't. It's just so much negativity and anger. Not everybody, but a lot of that's a lot of the New York energy, and I'm not used to that. Still, 20 years later, well, it's just different for me. It's just I don't know. I'm not. I've learned you adapt to whatever situation, but I would love to come on back home.
Would you come back to putting you on the spot? But would you come back to Greensboro?
No, Greenville. If I come back, I'll come to Greenville.
Hey, yeah. Bubba, how about that? Well, I tell you what, Lamont. Certainly with Greenville, I'm trying to get Bubba, being in the western part of the state. I'm trying not to get him divorced, but I really want to have him close by. But I know that he and his wife Stacy are from the western part of the state. Kyle's from LaGrange, Lenore County area. But certainly, I tell you what, I just looked at the time. We appreciate you, man, a lot of time, but you had a lot of great stories, a lot of great insight. One of the best Pirates ever, and you're always welcome in Greenville. There's a lot of people that love you here and in the Pirate Nation, and we certainly appreciate the time. And I just want you to know that you're always welcome here on the Sports Objective.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. God bless you and your family. God bless Pirate Nation. We will be back. And I'm coming to homecoming. If anybody listening, I'll be at homecoming this year.
That sounds great. I look forward to catching up with you there.
All right.
I appreciate you, man.
All right. Take care, fellas.
Have a great night.
All right. God bless.
Bye-bye. God bless you. Bye-bye.
That concludes this edition of 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective. Remember, join us daily between now and game day as we'll talk Pirate football with players from various eras. All these interviews are available exclusively on SoundCloud and our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and follow so you're alerted when we post new content. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, go Pirates!